In this video, we're going to take a look at the famous composition by Lerner and Loewe called Wouldn't It Be Loverly? This is, of course, from the ultra-successful musical My Fair Lady, which, as it happens, I just saw here in Niagara-on-the-Lake at the Shaw Festival not that long ago. It was really well done. I think it's an excellent song to learn, and we're going to go right from the beginning to the end and talk about some of the key areas that you need to pay attention to. And I will be putting a link to some free downloadable sheet music a little bit later in the video. It is the sheet music that we're going to be using in this tutorial. All right, let's start at the very beginning. I've put the sheet music on your screen. I've written out a lead sheet. You're going to have to tell me if you want me to write out the entire arrangement note for note, but I think it's a good idea for now to start with the lead sheet, kind of pick up some of the key areas of the tune. Let's play the first A section and see how it sounds. So the first thing, of course, I'd like to point out is that this 1-6-2-5 from G to E to A to D is like 100 or 1,000 other jazz songs. So it does lend itself really well to improvisation. So for example, if you were to improvise over that, it would sound something like this. Okay, it's fairly easy playing over these 1-6-2-5 progressions. I'm adding probably more swing to it than they would in the musical. One of the things that you could do to make it sound more swing is to maybe turn that into eighth notes and put a rest here up front. So you've got this rest. Another thing that you could do to make it more swing is that left hand, which basically plays a little bit of stride, and there's some anticipated eighth notes. Right, those eighth notes on the and of 2 and the and of 4. Let's play it one more time. I like this at the end of the bar here when you're moving from this D sus to the D7 flat 9. That's what we consider an inner voice. So we're moving from this sixth interval to this one. This is the flat 9 and of course the third of the chord. And even though we don't have the sheet music written out note for note, you can certainly see what I'm playing in chordy. I'll play it a little bit slower so you can catch some of the voicings. Now, another thing I want to point out is this progression starting on this chord and hitting this destination chord, which is G over D. So it starts off with this D7 over F, and then D minor 6 over F, but it could also be considered a B half diminished chord. So think B half diminished to E7, but the melody tends to dictate the inversion that you use. So D7 over F sharp, and this is your B half diminished or D minor 6 over F chord, and then change to E7 flat 9, C minor over E flat, and then G over D. And then the interesting chord that's thrown in here is this D diminished 7th chord. If you think 6th diminished scale, this chord is of course like a G flat 9 going to C, but we're not going to C, we're going to C over D, which is the D sus chord. I always think of that like C over D. So that's the D half diminished, and then C over D. One more time. And then in the left hand, play the D diminished, like this. And then D sus. All right, that'll do it for the A section. Let's hit the bridge. We'll call this the B section. And it starts on a D major 7th chord. Interesting line cliche going in the left hand. You've got D to D sharp, so it's moving up in half steps. And then instead of moving up, now it's going to move down. So D major 7. So of course, this is reharmonized chords that I've put in here. Starting with the D major 7th chord, and then F sharp 7 over C sharp, and then just B minor 7, and then a 2-5 of G, except you're using the tritone substitution of D, which is A flat 7 sharp 11. So A minor. Love this chord here. A flat 7 sharp 11. This is your sharp 11 on top here. And then this nice line going up here. Let's start here and come up this scale, and we're going to end, of course, right here from B minor 7. You could go to G over A there, or go to the A6 chord, and then another 6 diminished passing chord. Because of course, this D sharp diminished 7th chord, if you think about that as 5 of 1, it's this chord, which is basically D7 flat 9. So A 6th, and then we're back to the A section. Let's go again from the beginning of the bridge. I think it's nice, the transition from the B section or the bridge back to the C section here, because, you know, there's a lot of chords happening there at the bridge. And then when you get back to the C, it's kind of like a breath of fresh air, goes back to 1 and does this 1, 6, 2, 5. So from the last few bars of the bridge over the A6 chord, hopefully you were able to pick out some of those chord voicings. Of course, one of the tricks of learning tunes like this is to slow this video down and just pause it where you see me play a chord, and hopefully you can copy the chord voicings that I'm using. Let's now just go back to the top of the tune and see if we can play a little bit of soloing over this, just to give you some inspiration on how to approach the solo section. Like I said before, the 1, 6, 2, 5 for the first like 4 bars is really fun to play over. All right, we're not going to solo over the bridge for the sake of time. If you do want me to write out a complete arrangement for this tune, please let me know in the comments below, and also any feedback that you have, you can put it in the comments as well. But for now, let me put a link to this sheet music up here in the corner. It is just the lead sheet, but it is completely reharmonized, so I think it's going to be helpful for you. And while you're here, if you could reach down and hit the little thumbs up button, it really helps us here at the channel. And if you want to subscribe, we'd love to have you. Just hit the bell and we'll notify you of all the upcoming tutorials that we're making. And if you're here just because you wanted to learn how to play Wouldn't It Be Lovely and discovered that we're all about jazz, and if you're thinking maybe this jazz thing is for you, I have a very popular video on this channel called Why Most Jazz Musicians Fail at Improvising and How You Can Avoid That. I'm going to put a link to that video right here.